My dear friends, I am taking second question of temporary injunction. Principle of granting temporary injunction. Now, the court will observe the following principle before granting the temporary injunction to the applicant. My dear friends, there are 5 cases and I am going to take one by one. The first case, prima facie case. If there is a prima facie case in favor of the applicant and courts satisfied by the plea of the plaintiff or by the evidence or otherwise by any proof, the judge may grant temporary injunction to the plaintiff. This is the main point. Here you see, prima facie case. The first rule is that the applicant must make out a prima facie case in support of the right claimed by him. And it means plaintiff has to prove the prima facie case in favor of him. The court must be satisfied that there is a bona fide dispute raised by the applicant. It means the case is bona fide. There is a strong case for trial which need investigation and decision on merits and on the facts before the court. There is a possibility of the applicant being entitled to the relief claimed by him. The existence of prima facie right is a condition precedent for the grant of temporary injunction. The burden is on the plaintiff to satisfy the court by leading evidence or otherwise that he has a prima facie case in his favor. My dear friend, the language of this first prima facie case is very clear to you. As I have discussed with you, the plaintiff, it is the duty of the plaintiff to satisfy the judge that my case is a prima facie or my case is a bona fide or my case is a very strong case, and the temporary injunction should be granted in favor of me. This is the first condition. Now I am taking second condition. My dear friends, I am taking second condition, irreparable injury, or second principle of granting temporary injunction. This is the second principle. What is the second principle? The existence of prima facie case alone does not entitle the applicant for temporary injunction. This is prima facie case is not sufficient to get the temporary injunction. The applicant must further satisfy the court about the second condition. My dear friends, prima facie case was the first condition, and this irreparable injury is the second condition. By showing that he will suffer, and it means plaintiff has to show in the court before the judge he will suffer irreparable injury if the injunction has prayed is not granted and that there is no other remedy open to him by which he can protect himself from the consequences of apprehended injury. This is the second condition, and my dear friends, this second condition is also very important to show before the judge. So, in other words, you can say the court must be satisfied that the refusal to grant injunction would result in irreparable injury to the party seeking relief, and he needs to protect it from the consequences of the apprehended injury. Granting of injunction is a equitable relief, and such a power can be exercised when judicial intervention is absolutely necessary to protect rights and interests of the applicant. My dear friends, this explanation clearly shows that the second condition is also necessary to show before the judge. If the temporary injunction is not granted, he may suffer from irreparable injury. So, I have discussed before you two principles. First, prima facie case. Second, irreparable injury. And I am taking third principle. My dear friends, the third principle of granting temporary injunction. What is the third principle? Balance of convenience. The third condition for granting interim injunction is that the balance of convenience must be in favor of the applicant. This is the third condition. Balance of convenience must be in favor of the applicant. This is the third condition, or this is the third principle, you can say. In other words, the court must be satisfied that the comparative mischief, hardship, or inconvenience which is likely to be caused to the applicant by refusing the injunction will be greater than that which is likely to be caused to the opposite party by granting it. The judge see this condition, how the temporary injunction is given to the plaintiff, so that the reaction of this may not be applied in the case, or opposite party can think reverse of it, yeah, or opposite of it. So this is the third principle of granting temporary injunction, the balance of convenience. My dear friends, I think it is clear to you. Now I am taking fourth principle. My dear friends, I am taking fourth principle of granting temporary injunction. Discretion of the court. Power to grant injunction is extraordinary in nature, and it can be exercised cautiously and with circumspection. The party is not entitled to this relief as a manner or right or course. Grant of injunction is within the discretion of the court, and as such must be exercised in favor of the plaintiff only. If the court is satisfied that unless the defendant is restrained by an order of the interim or injunction, irreparable loss or damage will be caused to the plaintiff. So, my dear friend, this is the discretion power of the court, and court thinks that this temporary injunction is not granted, then irreparable loss or damage or any kind of loss may be to the plaintiff, and this injunction can be granted only in favor of the plaintiff. This is the real sense of this paragraph. Injunction which may be granted, the cases in which the injunction may be granted by the court. What are the cases? First, against transfer of property. First. Second, disposal of goods. Third, making construction. Fourth, effecting recovery of dues. Fifth, attachment of property. Sixth, appointment of receiver and commission. Seventh, against prosecution, etc., can be granted by a court. My dear friends, these are the seven conditions in which court can grant a temporary injunction. So now I will take the injunction which may not be granted. What are those cases in which the injunction may not be granted? Now I am taking that. My dear friends, now injunction which may not be granted. The cases in which the injunction may not be granted, these are the cases. Thus, ordinarily, no injunction should be granted against the cases. First, recovery of tax. Second, enforcement of contractual rights and liabilities. Third, transfer. Fourth, suspension of employees. Fifth, delaying election process. And sixth, this is sixth. My dear friend, this is sixth. What is interfering with inquiry or investigation? There are the 6 cases in which the injunction by the court may not be granted. Now, the fifth principle of granting temporary injunction. As I have said, there are 5 principles, and this is the last principle, notice. And according to Rule 33, the court shall, before granting an injunction, give notice to the opposite party, except where it appears that the object of granting the injunction would be defeated by the delay. But the proviso added by the Amendment Act 1976 lays down that when an ex parte injunction is proposed to be given, the court has to record the reasons for coming to the conclusion that the object of granting injunction would be defeated by delay. The court must send a copy to the applicant as well as to the opposite party. My dear friend, this is the last principle of notice. Notice will be given to or will be served to the plaintiff as well as the other party, and the whole concept of notice is clear in this paragraph. And so, my dear friends, all the principles of granting temporary injunction are clear to you. I think so. So, from my side, I have tried to explain more clearly, and I think you will get this in positive way. So, my dear friend, I am doing this work not only for you and for myself also, and I think you will take it positive, and also I think that these questions will help you in the coming examination of 5th semester. So today I have taken two questions. Injunction. I have divided the injunction in two parts: definitions, objects, and kinds of injunction. And the second question about the principles of granting temporary injunction. There are 5 principles, and all the principles are, I think, clear to you. My dear friends, in the last, I want to make a request to you. Please subscribe the channel. I shall be very thankful to you. The name of my channel is Maths by Dharamveer Singh Dabas. Again, thanks.